Well, good morning. This is Mark Ittleman, speech language pathologist, or good day, or whatever time you happen to be watching this video. I'm going to be sharing with you today a very, very important idea, and that is how to recover the ability to talk following aphasia. That's right. How to recover the ability to talk after aphasia. And I was thinking about this morning and wrote down three or four particular areas that I'd like to share with you today that we'll cover briefly and thoroughly. The first one is you have to find a speech language pathologist. Okay, that's the first thing you have to do once you decide that you want to recover speech and that you're going to do whatever you can. You're going to do whatever it takes to recover speaking. Recovering speaking is no easy task. It's challenging, and it will take a good part of your attention and commitment. And I've shared with people time after time about Kirk Douglas, who was a famous actor here in the United States who had a stroke, and he asked his speech pathologist one day, "How long am I going to have to do this?" And the speech pathologist said, "Probably the rest of your life." So it's something that you're going to want to commit to if you want to be able to talk again. So the first, really, even before the speech pathologist, is the decision. The decision that you're going to do whatever it takes to recover your speaking. Okay, now, the question then is, well, who's going to make that decision about recovering the ability to talk? Well, guess what? It involves at least two people. And you say, what do you mean, Mark? Well, it involves, first of all, the person with aphasia. The person with aphasia has got to really want this more than anything else in the world. I've worked with people who, they're like sponges. They want the information. They let me know, give it to me, show me, give it to me, let me practice it. There are those kind of people. Unfortunately, some of them are in the minority. But then there are others that go, well, yeah, I want to talk again, but it's important too that I have lots of time to watch TV. It's important that I have lots of time to sit in my room or whatever it is. So the ability to decide is really first, and the person who makes that decision is the person with aphasia. Now, the other thing you got to know is, especially from the teaching of talking approach, which is a very successful approach that helps people talk again, you got to have a speech model. You got to have somebody to help you. And an iPad is just not going to cut it. It just doesn't cut it. And workbooks don't cut it. And flashcards don't cut it. You have to have another human being who's going to model speech for you. In other words, they're going to show you how to say the word with their mouth, and they're going to say the word so that you can hear it clearly. This morning when I got up, I was reviewing some things, and one of my favorite people was Annie Sullivan. And Annie Sullivan was a teacher of the deaf, and she's the one who taught Helen Keller, who was blind and deaf, how to talk. And she was Helen's primary caregiver for like 20 or 30 years. They were best friends and they lived together, and Annie Sullivan came to Helen Keller's house and stayed there and sat with Helen for hours every day and taught her how to talk, taught her how to read, taught her how to write, taught her. And again, I just want to reinforce to you the fact that learning how to speak, if you have a severe stroke or if you have almost any kind of medical problem that has affected your speech, is a considerable task that speech therapy twice weekly, that's not going to cut the mustard. I mean, it'll be okay if the speech pathologist can teach the caregiver, okay? And then the caregiver can go home, like Annie Sullivan was with Helen Keller, and stimulate Helen over and over again throughout the day. It's just a necessary prerequisite, all right? So, what we've learned so far is that the person with aphasia has to decide that they want to speak again, and they're going to put all of their effort into that. Number two, the caregiver or the wife or the family member also has to decide that they are committed to doing that. Because if a person with aphasia commits to it, and if they don't have a person to help them, to help speak with them each and every day, well, guess what? It's not going to happen. The person with aphasia needs a caregiver, a mother, a wife, a spouse, a family member, because let's face it, the person with aphasia lives at home, usually, okay? And the home is the best place. And if you have somebody at home to stimulate speech and language, it's the greatest thing in the world. Okay, so we make a decision. The person with aphasia makes a decision. The caregiver makes a decision. Number two, here's number two that I wrote down. You got to have a method. You have to have a method. All right? You got to have a method. It's kind of like if you go on a trip, you've got to have a map. All right? And the map will tell you where to go. Sometimes people are telling me where to go. But anyway, most of us now have GPS in our car. So it's really nice. We don't really need maps like we kind of did before. We just plug in where we want to go and we sit behind the wheel. And the GPS tells us to turn here, to go straight, to go in 3 miles down the road, etc., etc., etc. So if you're going to get from point A to point B, you've got to have a GPS or you got to have a map. And that's what the teaching of talking is. It's a method that will teach you from the very, very start where to start, and it'll show you the turns. It'll show you what to do along the way. This you do first, this you do second, this you do third, this you do fourth. Okay? So that's very helpful. But remember that the teaching of talking method is a great method. But people with aphasia have varying symptoms. Some of them have apraxias. Some of them have dysarthrias. Apraxia is difficulty moving your tongue and making sounds clearly. And the dysarthria is slurred speech. It's kind of like a person who's had too many drinks. Their speech is all slurred. So you got to know that there's usually, with aphasia, not only a loss in language, but there also is an effect to the motor speech. And one of the things that you're going to want to do, besides learning the teaching of talking, is you got to have like a mentor on the side. So when you come up to difficulties, you can call that mentor or you can meet with that mentor regularly until you've got the system down. All right? It takes that kind of commitment. Now, correcting a speech problem ain't easy. It's just not easy, okay? It takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes learning, all right? I've been doing it 45 years already, and I'm still learning, all right? So I can share with you the information that you need, or If you find your own speech pathologist who's an experienced person and who's an expert, then go hang with them. You got to spend time with them, have them teach you, and learn the teaching of talking method. Okay, so you got to have a method to follow, and it's not singing Happy Birthday, and it's not singing God Bless America, and it's not singing My Country 'Tis of Thee. Now, singing songs and things like that is okay, but that is not. It could be useful for motor speech, but it's not useful to really how to learn how to talk again. If I want to learn French, I'm not going to sing songs in French and not know what they mean or anything like that. Okay, you have to learn the language. You have to learn the vocabulary. You have to learn the meaning of the words. You have to learn the syntax, which is the order of the words that you use in the sentence. And the person with aphasia needs to be able to learn those things. Okay, so number one is the decision. Number two is you got to have a method. And lastly, you have to teach the caregiver exactly what to do at home, and then the caregiver uses it all through the day. All through the day. Okay? If you look at any person who was great at what they did, whether they played basketball, whether they played tennis, whether they played ice hockey, whether they developed the electric light, whether they decided to fly across the Atlantic, whether they went up in space, these people had to be trained, okay? These tasks were not simple. And so it took a training process. Lindbergh had to learn how to fly. Then he had to make all kinds of flights until it became automatic. And that's the same thing you have to do with speech therapy. John Glenn, when he went up into the heavens and encircled the earth in Freedom 7, I think it was. Maybe not. Maybe that was Alan Shepard. I don't know. Whatever it was, those astronauts, man, they had to be trained, and they were trained every day. And they had to study, and they had to learn, and they had to go through all kinds of things until the whole process becomes automatic. And that's what happens with the teaching of talking if you want to learn how to talk again. Now, remember that it's not an iPad. Please remember that, okay? They want to sell you iPads. They want to sell you apps. Now, they're helpful for cognitive things, but they're not going to teach you how to talk again. You talk again when you talk to people. You talk again when you have somebody to talk to. You talk again when that person says the words that you need at that particular time so that you can repeat them. Okay? The caregiver constantly says the words that the person with aphasia needs in the moment, and has the person with the aphasia repeat them. Now, it's not just one time. It's not in a therapy room. It's at home when the person needs to express a particular thing throughout the day. Now, if a caregiver or a partner uses that word over and over and over in various situations every day, or that phrase every day, then the person with aphasia has a good chance of learning it because of the repetition needed. Now, we all need repetition if we're going to learn anything, all right? But a person with aphasia has to repeat 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times more than a person with a naturally performing brain. A person with aphasia has a brain that's been affected by a stroke or a disease, and therefore alternative alternative portions of the brain have to take over for the part that was damaged. Now, the other part that takes over isn't as efficient as the part that used to take care of the speech and language. It's not as quick. It's not as fast. It's not as nimble. It doesn't learn as fast. So you have to give the information more and more and more, and you have to repeat it more and more and more. Okay, so I wanted to review some things that I believe will help you recover the ability to talk following aphasia or following a stroke. Now, I hope you like this video. I put out lots of videos, and I try to do one almost every day. I wonder if I'm ever going to run out of things to share with you. Probably not, because I've got like many years, 45 years at least, of working with people with aphasia, and there's lots to share so that you can learn and understand aphasia and get the treatment that you need. So down below is a link to the teachingoftalking.com. So please, kind of when you finish with this video, down below the video, there's some content there. Push or click on the teachingoftalking.com, which will take you to our website. Then once you get there, push the bar at the bottom of the page that says, click here for free videos and blog. And you want to push that button there and get on our mailing list so that I can send you information every week. And then there's a questionnaire underneath there too. So if you want to be mentored, if you want to be taught, if you're one of those people who will do just about anything to help your loved one, if you're one of those people who's committed to helping your loved one talk, then you're going to want to hit that questionnaire button down at the bottom of the page. It's on the bottom of the page of every page in the website just about. It says questionnaire or survey and questionnaire. Okay? Fill that out. Then send it to me. Okay? Send it to me. I'll look it over. And if I think you're a good candidate for the Teaching of Talking method, I'll contact you. But I'll contact you anyway, whether you, because we'll figure out some way to help you get your talking. So make sure that when you finish the video that you click on the teachingoftalking.com, and that once you get there, you fill in the little window that says, do you want to push the button for videos and blogs, and then when you're done with that, push the button on the questionnaire, fill out the questionnaire, and send it to us, okay? We want to help you. That's what we're here for. This is Mark Ittleman, speech-language pathologist, wishing you a great day today and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.